Alright, look, I'm gonna do a video on how to change the AC compressor clutch on a '07 Honda Accord with the 2.4 liter motor. A lot of different diagnostics you can do to try and figure out why this is the problem. Namely, you check the pressure. If you got PSI on there that's like, you know, within working range, and you check the fuses, you got these fuses over here. If you check those, let's see here, you got the let's see here, the MC clutch, that's a 7.5 right there. That's part of the AC system. And then you got this relay, which you could do a little relay swap with something that doesn't matter, one of these other ones that matches. And then you got this one right here. That one's also an AC relay. If all your relays are showing, you know, they work with a swap, and obviously you got to confirm that your condenser fan is actually spinning. Yes, one of these fans is a condenser fan, but if your fan's not spinning, your AC is not going to get cold, it'll just blow hot. And you check that your blower motor's working, but it's not blowing cold. And I think you got one more fuse under here. Let's see here, what is this? You got AC fuse 7.5, that's number 30, the fuse 30. If you check that fuse up there, it's the fourth one back, so this one right there in the center, the 7.5. Alright, so I'm going to give you the condensed version. Here you go. Take off your tire. 5 lugs right there. I think for this one it is a 19mm lug. Then you're going to go here. With the serpentine belt still on, to hold the pulley a little bit, you need to get an impact. Ryobi actually has the nuts to do this. So you want to impact with a bendy. Before you do that though, you got to take your windshield washer reservoir off. That's 3 10mm bolts. That one over here. That one. 3 10mm bolts. You can do these two easily. And then the third one over there in the corner, you might need to do it by hand with a ratchet. Then you take your 10mm center pulley bolt off. Then this pulley bolt comes off. After you get your pulley bolt off, this clutch should pop off pretty easily, right? Sometimes it sticks a little bit. You might just be a couple gentle taps with a wood block and a hammer, and it should come off. Mine didn't even need that, so hopefully yours is not stuck. After you take that off, you actually have a external circlip right here, and you got to use pliers to get that off. Inside the clutch, see, this is the face of the clutch that touches that. Inside this little hole right here, you might have shims. It's a little shim washer. Don't lose that washer, okay? So after you get that outer clutch face off, then you got the pulley. This pulley tends to stick, right? So now that you got that that outer clutch face off, then you need to go up there and take your serpentine belt off. That is a 14mm bolt. I got the nice serpentine tool, highly recommend this. And you just do that. Take your serpentine belt off. I left it on pretty much everywhere except for the pulley that's in my way. Now that I got that off, I actually had to carefully pry a little bit here, which didn't do jack shit. And then I came up top and I took a hammer and a long flathead through this gap down there to hit the edge of that pulley to send it that way. and then I spun it a little bit when I saw it move, and then I hit it again, and then I spun it a little bit and hit it again. And you just got to take it slow because you're not trying to break your pressurized seal on your AC compressor clutch. The whole point of doing the clutch without doing the whole compressor is so that you don't have to do the refrigerant. So if your system is nice and sealed and you just have a bad clutch, this is what you want to do. Clutch is like $35 on eBay or Amazon, wherever the fuck you want to find it. You might even be able to find it on rockauto.com for maybe a little more for a better quality part. I got mine from a junkyard. I don't think I even paid 10 bucks, but you know, your mileage may vary for that. Then you got this little Phillips head screw holding the ground wire in this bracket. I'll show you a little bit closer in a second. This power plug, which if you remember, I asked you to test it by putting 12 volts to this power plug to confirm that your AC clutcher doesn't click. If it clicks, your clutch isn't your problem. If it doesn't click, then your clutch is the problem for sure. You don't even need to do all that relay testing. If you just put the 12 volts to this and it clicks, then it's not your problem. So you unplug that, you take your Phillips head screw. It's a single Phillips head screw. It's a very soft screw. Do not strip that or you will have a horrible time, and you'll have to pull your compressor anyways, which you might still be able to get away with without breaking the seal, but still. So after you get that Phillips head screw, I recommend doing it by hand. Do not use an impact with a long Phillips head screwdriver. That way you can reach it, because it's kind of in an annoying, tedious spot on the top. All right, so after that, you're gonna, after you get this pulley off, which is slightly a pain in the ass and arguably the hardest part of this whole thing, is a very tight fit. You don't want to hammer this without being gentle, because if you do, you're gonna mess up your bearing or you're gonna break your seal. See, and I just put this back on for a second to show you guys, and it's already sticking again. So I'm gonna try and get this off again. What a fucking tedious pulley. So I'll give you an idea. This is how I was having to hit this. Put this on the edge of the pulley and then tapping that. And then once it looks a little loose, you carefully send your hammer down there. Give it some taps, spin it so it doesn't get cocked on the bore. And then if you have to, you can very, very carefully give it a little pry. Like I said, you don't mess up that bearing. And that's what the back side of it looks like, right? And you got one more C-clip. Use your C-clip pliers. This one is a spreader style, so you got to spread it. I got lucky and mine was facing the with the points over here, so I didn't have to spin it, but you may have to spin it using your flathead. So I got that out. And then this is your problem right here. Your coil. It's electromagnetic coil. And like I said, I already took that screw out on the top. So now, this is what it looks like on the bracket. That bracket just holds the wire out of the way. You don't technically need this bracket. You could zip tie the wire so it doesn't get tore up by the serpentine system. But essentially that little hole right there is where your grounding screw goes. And then this is your power plug. I already tested this. I got nothing. But you take the take this piece and take your coil like that, and go take a wire like that. Oh, there's my shim. Told you not to lose it. I'm gonna put it back over here. So you take it like that. Take it up to your battery. And very carefully put this where a ground is, and then take this one Nothing. Make sure you actually touch it. I don't got nothing. You can also check it with the multimeter. I had mine set to what I had it set to. I'll tell you in a second. I had this multimeter and I set it to 200, and I had, so I'm holding that ground on there, and it's in the positive. And I got a 1 on my bad coil, but on my good coil, I got like a, I can't remember if it was 6 or 0.06. You need to not have a 1 is my point when you have it on the 200. So yeah, this is bad. I'm just gonna reassemble it and go from there. When you reassemble, you got to take this pin right here, and it needs to go in that little groove. In the groove. Make sure that goes in that groove. Should not spin at all when it's in the groove properly. Just like that. No spinning. Pull that wire up. Alright, that was a few minutes of annoying, but I got that C-clip in. That's how it goes. I have these annoying cheapos. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not long enough from here to here. So maybe if I had 45-degree angle ones, it would work, or even straight ones would work if you had it set right. But yeah, get yourself a good set of those before you start this job, because nothing sucks worse than having to use 2 screwdrivers to fucking make it go in there. You want this slidey metal face. Make sure you don't have any grooves on it. My old one has a ton of grooves on that face. If it catches your fingernail, it's probably no good. Alright, this is the one that came off. It's not horrible, so I could reuse that. And check the bearing, how it feels on your finger. It shouldn't have any scratchy feeling, and it should spin. Shouldn't have any play up and down. If you beat on your pulley too hard, you might end up with a play in your pulley, and that would be bad. I want to give a tappy with a wood block with a hammer until you can get that groove visible for your circlip. This one, that one goes on next. That one was really easy. I got it in within a second. Now you want your outer clutch face. This is my old one. It's probably okay, but it catches my fingernail a little bit, and it looks like, if you see bluing in any kind of way, you probably want a different one. This one's a little blue, but not really. I would say it's still acceptable, but look at how much better this one looks. That's off the used pulley that I got out the junkyard. There's a groove on this one. There's not on this one. Flatter is better. It'll have a better grip. Of course, there is a groove on the outer part of this one, so I don't know. I might go with my old one. Just remember, you got those shims in there. I don't know how many shims you need. It's different per the car. Not exactly sure how you're gonna measure that. But you gotta have it in spec. So there's a certain way to check that. Oh, and don't forget to put the shim in. You could just put the same shim that came with this outer face onto whichever one you're gonna use. This is actually not my old pulley. This is the donor pulley from the junkyard. So I got the shim in there, and clean this shit up with some carb cleaner or similar spray. I'm gonna use carb cleaner. So clean it up because you don't want that dirty. When you go to tighten that up, I would say don't use your impact, because when you this center part should spin independently of the pulley. It should free spin. If it's not free spinning, you got it too damn tight. I feel like that might even be too tight right there. But if it's not free spinning, it's too tight. Of course, you don't want it to fall out either. So I would say just get it snug, wrist tight maybe. You should definitely check the torque specs on that. I'm going to do it myself. So on the last part, when you're trying to torque this down, it's 13 foot-pounds for the center bolt, which is like very light. It's like, you know, as a mechanic, it's like, you know, wrist tight, maybe even a little less. And then the feeler gauge, air gap right there, that needs to be minimum. Tightest it should be is 35.35 millimeters or 0.014 inches. I think it goes up to about double that. This is on the tighter side. I think if it's, as long as the center free spins and it doesn't feel draggy, I think it should be good. Now I just got to do the Phillips head screw on the top for the grounding wire. And I got to figure out what I did with it. But mission success. Thanks for watching, dude.